So from the last module in this course, you know that the primary purpose of the telephone is to set appointments. You should not be selling or overqualifying on the telephone. Instead, it should all be about setting the appointment for an in-home assessment. Today we're going to go over the script for doing that. Now to start with, let's take a moment to talk about the importance of having written telephone scripts in your business. I've had some agencies tell me that they don't have any scripts to which their staff adheres. When I hear this, I know immediately that they are not a top agency. Every highly successful agency, and every highly successful business for that matter, that uses the telephone has written scripts that everyone in the business learns and uses. If you do not have written scripts for handling leads, it's time to change that. Now, before I give you an example of a proven script, let's go over a few tips and suggestions, some of which we've already covered in previous videos in this course, but they bear repeating. First, understand who you are calling. Know their motivations. As we discussed earlier in this course, these are not clients yet. Don't be overly assumptive. Remember that they are shopping. They want information and help, so be prepared to help them. Part of this is to use consultative language when talking with them the first time or two. Use words like may, or could, or might, or possibly. In other words, don't be so certain or assumptive at first. It turns most people off. Instead, come out with an attitude of simply wanting to help them in whatever way you can. It builds rapport and sets you apart as being honest. Say things like, during the assessment, we will determine if we can help. If not, we'll give you the resources needed, and so on. The next tip is that you should control the call with questions. Your script should be short when it comes to what you say about yourself, and you should spend most of your time listening. In this regard, you should be like a great doctor. Doctors don't spend their time with you talking about themselves. They don't give you a sales pitch. Instead, they spend their time asking questions to diagnose. And once they know enough, they recommend steps to take. You should be the same way. The next sales tip is to induce the law of reciprocity or reciprocation. In other words, make them feel like they owe you something because you've given them so much. Give them something before asking for a commitment. Say things like, here's what I'm going to do for you. You'll see better how this works when we go over an example of a good script in a moment. Tip number 5, when you do ask for the appointment, use good, assumptive closing techniques. First of all, always ask for the appointment. Second, use an alternate choice close for the date and time. Assume you are doing an assessment and simply ask when by suggesting 2 times and asking which of those times is best. I will be in your area on Tuesday and Wednesday. Which day is best for me to come by your home and assess the situation? The next important sales tip is that you must have urgency. Do not let this be put off. The assessment must be done as soon as possible. Ask for times today, tomorrow, or at most 3 days out. Very rarely should you do an assessment more than 3 days out. And under no circumstances should you allow them to not have an assessment conducted. And finally, I'll repeat what we covered in the last module. Never prejudge. Do not overqualify. Assume every person will be a great client. Set appointments for assessments with everyone. It's better to do a lot of assessments and close a few than it is to only do a couple of assessments that you think are guaranteed to convert. So here's a sample script that has proven to be very successful. There are 6 steps in this script. You do not move on to the next step until the goal of the previous step has been accomplished. The first step is the welcome. The goal is to introduce yourself and build rapport. Here's the script. Is this Mary? Hi, Mary. My name is Peter with XYZ Home Care. You and I have not met, but a family advisor at Caring.com asked me to give you a call because you're looking for senior care options for your mother, and the family advisor thought I might be able to help you. I specialize in helping seniors and their families here in our area, and I'd love to see if I can help you. Can you tell me more about what's prompted your search for care options? You must get to the final question, which kicks off the next step, which is the discovery. In this step, you'll listen to what prompted their search and then ask several, meaning 3 to 4, questions to find what I call the main motivation. This main motivation is made up of the emotional reasons for why they're looking to hire a caregiver. The strongest reasons are usually the pains, discomforts, and fears that they're experiencing, so don't be afraid to ask about these things. Make sure they are open-ended questions, and when necessary, ask follow-up questions to dig deeper. Examples of some of the questions you might ask include: what prompted your search for senior care options? What are your main concerns? The family advisor at caring.com told me about your concerns with blank. Tell me more about that. What activities are not getting done well? What's not perfect about the current situation? So what's changed recently? When you say blank, what do you mean by that? What about that scares you? In your opinion, what kind of assistance is needed? How would you like it to be? And what's most important to you? What has to happen for you to feel that? By the way, none of these questions are about how many hours of care they need or how much money they have. The next step is one of the most important. It's called the tellback. It requires that you feed back or summarize what you've just heard. You should say things like, "So it sounds like," and then repeat what you've heard. "What I'm hearing you say is," and then summarize what you've heard. To make sure we're on the same page, "You've told me this, and that about your mother." Or, "The big concerns I'm hearing from you are that you're worried about your mom while you're at work." In other words, you want to use a phrase that helps you to summarize and then do just that, summarize what you've heard. And then finally, you want to get confirmation that you've got it right by saying, "Does that sound about right? Is there anything that I've missed?" Once they've agreed that you understand their situation, you then need to make a recommendation that involves a gift and an offer for an assessment. Say, "I definitely think we can help you. I recommend that you take several steps as quickly as possible. The first is that I'm going to send you a video or an audio or a report that I want you to watch or listen to or read. It will do blank for you. Lay out the benefits. Don't make any decision until you've watched or listened to or read it, because it'll give you some ideas that you'll want to use. Let me verify your email address. I have blank email. Is that the best one, or is there a better email to send this to? Next, I'm going to have our care coordinator stop by to assess your situation. She's been working in senior care for over 10 years, is well known in the community, and can offer a lot of good alternatives for you. She'll meet with you and your family, ask a lot of questions, and do a great assessment so that we can give you solutions and develop a care plan for you. If we think that we can help you to carry out that care plan, she'll discuss what we can do at that time. If we can't help you, she'll recommend options for you and even introduce you to the best providers in town. Where is it that your mother lives? What is the address there? Once you have made the recommendation, immediately close for the appointment. Say something like, "It looks like our care coordinator will be in your area this Wednesday and Thursday. Which of those days will work best for you to have her stop by for an hour to conduct the assessment? Wednesday or Thursday? Morning, afternoon, or evening? I have 3 p.m. or 4 p.m. available. Which would be best?" In other words, use alternate choices to whittle it down to a date and time. Finally, once the appointment is set, you can set the stage for a great assessment. Start by recapping the main motivation and the commitments. Say, "So to recap, we really need to make sure that your mother has blank and no longer has to worry about blank. I think we can help you. So I'm going to start by emailing you blank report or video or audio. I want you to watch, listen, or read. Call me if you have any questions or ideas from it. Then, on Wednesday at 3 p.m., Susan will be at your mother's home to meet you and her and assess the situation. From that, she'll be able to give you a complete care plan and the resources to get it done. Next, you want to get all the decision makers to the assessment. Ask, who else should be attending the meeting? What other family members are involved in this decision? What needs to be done to invite them? And then finally, prepare them for tackling the finances. Say, now one of the things that Susan will help you with on Wednesday includes all of the options for paying for your mother's care. The family advisor at Caring told me that you have a budget of around blank. Is that where we're starting? Or does your family have other resources that can be used? This is the only time that you should discuss hours of service or money. In extreme cases, you can cancel the appointment just set if it turns out that they really don't have any money. But in general, you should not discuss the total bill or disqualify people for monetary reasons until you've laid out a care plan for them that solves their problems. It's amazing how much money people have when they realize that there's a solution to what is hurting them. So in almost every case, you want to set and conduct the in-home assessment before discussing a care plan, billable hours, and money. Now obviously, you can adapt parts of this to make it fit you and your agency, but the steps are still important to carry out in order. Welcome, then discover, then do a tellback, then recommend, then set the appointment, and then set the stage for a great assessment. So here are your assignments. First, write your ideal first call script. Start with the script that I just shared with you, and then make minor alterations to fit you and your agency. Next, I want you to practice and memorize the script. As part of this, role play with coworkers until you're comfortable with it. And then finally, place a copy of it by every phone and use it at least 40 times before making any changes. Measure the percentage of times that you set an appointment. Over time, you can obviously make adjustments to increase your percentages. Then join me in the next module where we'll discuss how to handle what I call brush-offs. These are the objections people use when they're scared or stressed or they're just trying to get you off the telephone. You need to be ready to handle these automatic responses that give some people trouble and interrupt their ability to complete the script. But until then, practice the script.